All power to all the people. BlacKkKlansman is directed by Spike Lee and starring John David Washington, Adam Driver, Laura Harrier, and Topher Grace. Before I go any further, I just want to say there will not be any plot spoilers in this review. This film is the newest film from director Spike Lee, and it centers around the true life story of the person of Ron Stallworth, who was an African-American police officer in the Colorado Springs, Colorado Police Department in the late 1970s, where he led an undercover investigation inside the local chapter of the Ku Klux Klan. And this film kind of details and goes through all of the complications, the dangers, and the complexities of that investigation. Like I said, this is a new Spike Lee movie, or a Spike Lee joint as his films are called, and I am actually a rather big fan of Spike Lee, at least a big fan of many of his films. Like all filmmakers, his filmography has its ups and downs, but as you can see behind me, these are probably two of his best films. And this film is also one of his best films he's done in a very long time. You can tell it's very much a passion project for him, and you can tell it's a film that he feels that is going to be important because of our current political and social climate. This film is extremely political, first and foremost. If you are not someone who likes their films to have a political message or political undertones in any way, then this is probably not the film for you. Right away you can tell in the synopsis that I read that this film deals very much with race relations. It deals with racism, not only from the 1970s, but how it kind of really connects to today as well. That is one of the main strengths of this film, is while you're watching it, you can see very much how it connects to contemporary times. This film makes no secret about what it's trying to say, what it's trying to do, delving into certain thematic elements like the African American community versus the police, which is something that is very much still a hot button issue. Also, the Ku Klux Klan is, of course, in the news now, having marches and all kinds of stuff. And back then, they were also around as well, doing the terrible things that they're known to be doing. But let's take a look at this film as a film. This is very well directed by Spike Lee. The film has really powerfully well-directed moments that really are used for maximum effect when dealing with a lot of those themes I just mentioned. Also, you get very fantastic acting from not only John David Washington, but also from Adam Driver as well. They portray two characters in the film that are very much interlocked with one another, so there's a lot of moments when they're interacting with one another, and their chemistry is very good. Their back and forth, although can be a little bit antagonistic at times, there's a sense of purpose within both of those characters. Unfortunately, the film really only focuses on the Ron Stallworth character and doesn't focus on really fleshing out any of the other characters, which is unfortunate because the Adam Driver character I found to be very fascinating. He has a lot of his own motivations for doing what he is doing. Topher Grace is in the film as well. He's portraying David Duke, whom at the time was the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. This person is actually still around today, still spewing a hateful rhetoric, and it's interesting that Topher Grace portrays him as kind of almost a comical buffoon with terribly hateful philosophies. And I thought it was particularly interesting the way Spike Lee portrayed the members of the Ku Klux Klan in an almost absurd way, in a very almost over-the-top comedic way at times, although these are terrible people saying and doing terrible things with terrible personal philosophies. And because they are so extreme in their ideology, they come off as not being real people. But when you think about it, these are real people. There are people out there who think like this, and you almost have to laugh because you can't believe it yourself. And the film has an interesting tonal balance like that, where it is a drama and there is moments of dark comedy as well. Granted, the overall film is very serious, of course. When you're dealing with the elements that this film is dealing with, there is going to be a lot of drama within it. Also, the character that Laura Harrier plays is someone who is in the local college civil rights group. They have certain rallies, they have speakers come in and things like that, so you get a glimpse of what the social climate is of the time of the young African American community and their political leanings as well. So the film is dealing with a lot of different elements, and I think Spike Lee very much does a decent job balancing all of those. I will say, though, that towards the middle of the film, I thought the film lost its focus a little bit, but then the third act really kicks in, and there is a sequence in this film that is extremely powerful, very well done, and well edited, and well directed, and there's a certain contrast of ideologies and philosophies in that sequence that I thought was extremely telling. Another small negative thing I have, which is not really something that derails the movie for me in any way, is that there is a romantic subplot between the Ron character and the character of Patrice Dumas, portrayed by Laura Harrier, and it feels almost forced to make the story have more dramatic weight to it, and it feels like a very Hollywood cliched thing, and it kind of takes me out of the movie for a little bit. So with all that being said, I'm going to give this film a rather high score of 4.5 out of 5 stars. This is one of the best films I've seen from Spike Lee in years. It's very well directed by him. All of the acting, I think, is very good. The film has a very strong plot and storyline that is very important to our social and political climate today. I highly recommend this for people who are very socially aware of our political climate and those who are fans of Spike Lee as well. That has been my review of BlacKkKlansman. If you like this video, please check out the other videos on my channel.